Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our very first podcast at SD International School. I'm Pradi, your host today. And on the panel with me, two of my friends are excited as I am.
Hi, I'm Titi, and honestly, I have been waiting for this all week.
And I am Preet, a little nervous but mostly excited.
Today we have a very special guest. Someone we see every day. Someone who runs our entire school.
Please welcome our respected principal, sir.
Good morning, Tithi. Good morning, Preet, and good morning, Pradi. It's very nice and thoughtful of you to have this podcast with me today.
Welcome, sir. Thank you for joining us today. Today our topic is we all are wondering about childhood.
Because, sir, your childhood and our childhood, they sound so different.
We use phones, we watch reels, we play online games. But you, sir, you went to a boarding school when you were really small.
So today we want to hear your story, the real childhood of our principal, sir.
So, sir, our first question is, how old were you when you went to boarding school?
I was around 6 years old when my parents put me to a boarding school in Mount Abu.
6-year-old.
Yes, 6 years old.
Sir, I'm 10 and I can't even sleep without my mother.
It was tough, of course. First day when we were taken to the boarding, we were left there. I still remember we were two of us, my brother and me, and we were literally kicking, pulling the hair of our mother, pulling their sari, and of course we were shouting and screaming. Somehow we wanted to leave that place and run and join them so that we could be taken home.
That's so heartbreaking.
It was indeed.
Whom was your school run by? Like the teachers, where were they from?
The boarding school that I went to was run by the Irish Christian Brothers, and they were all majorly from Ireland. They were missionaries from Ireland, and of course the rest of the teachers were Anglo-Indians. We had certain teachers from Goa and Mangalore as well. Teachers teaching us Hindi and physical education. We would have teachers basically from Rajasthan and Delhi.
Really, sir? Teachers from Ireland? That is so cool.
Yes, that is one of the reasons I believe that we have a very different thought process and we have a very different style of working with children.
Okay, sir, so can you please tell us, what was a normal day like for you?
Our days began at 6 in the morning. We had the dormitory in charges who would come and just clap like this and move ahead and again clap like this. And all the students, we were of course only boys there in the boarding. The boys would immediately get up from their beds and we would just get half an hour to get ready. And after that we would have half an hour prayer and meditation time. And at 7 o'clock we would have a breakfast. 7:30 to 8:30 we had our morning studies, 1 hour. After which we went to the dormitories, polished our shoes, made our beds and got ready for school. School started at 9. So from 9 to 12 we had 5 continuous periods with of course with a 5 minutes break in between after the third period. Then we had a 1 hour lunch break for which we all went to the refectory. And then from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock we had 3 more periods. So from after 3 we came back to the refectory, had tea, and then from 3:30 to 4:45 from 3:30 to 5 p.m. we had our games. After which back again we would go for our washes and then we would have 2 hours of evening studies from 5:30 to 7:30, and 7:30 we would have dinner. 8 o'clock back to our dormitories. 8 to 9 we would have recreation time, and 9 o'clock lights off.
Sir, and the homework? Sir, did anyone help you? Tuition, coaching?
During our times, we never had or we couldn't even think about a thing like tuitions. So we had to literally pay attention and be very careful when the classes went on during the day. And we did not have any tutor to tutor us or to coach us after school. So we would have approximately 150 students sitting in the study hall, and we would have one teacher who would be doing the minding. No student discussed, no students talked to anybody, and everybody did his or her own work.
So today's students study 8, 10, even 12 hours. You studied only 3?
Yes, after school we studied only for 3 hours, and I felt and I still think that if you work while you work and you play while you play, 3 hours are more than enough.
Sir, my favorite question. What game did you like to play?
My favorite, of course, was hockey. Of course, we had compulsory games, and I played hockey, I've played football, I've played cricket, I've played volleyball, I have played basketball, and of course, even baseball on a regular basis. And this used to happen every evening because every class had a ground, and every ground had 4 teams, like we have the 4 houses in school today, and we had a referee in each ground who would be like your class teacher in the ground for the whole year. And in the month of September, we would have athletics. So children would all be preparing for the sports day, wherein all the finals would be held. So we had the 100 meters, the 200 meters, the 1000 meters, 4 into 100 meter relays, high jump, long jump, triple jump, marathon races. All these things were part of it. And I believe I've even got certificates as best player for hockey, and I've done it for years.
Sir, baseball in a school in India.
Yes, we used to play baseball, and it is a lovely game.
So what about swimming?
In the school, we did not have a swimming pool, but adjacent to the school, we used to call it the school dam, but it is the lower Kodra dam, and that dam is a huge dam from where water is being pumped to the town of Mount Abu. So we did our swims in the lower Kodra dam. Of course, our teachers were with us, and it was under great care and protection that everything was taken care of.
Swimming in a dam, not a pool, like really a dam.
It was a huge dam, and I still remember close to the dam wall, the height was around 60 or 65 feet, and I believe it has been raised all the more higher. And the dam is a huge dam, and we still remember those days and enjoy those days when we used to go for swims over there.
When first you go to Lower Kodra, then you are really afraid of it because it has a lot of flow of water.
Of course, the first time when I was taken there, I was very scared, and they put me onto, they made me wear a life jacket, and they threw me inside the dam. And of course, my teachers were there, and we had a lot of students who were very good at swimming. But till today, that created a phobia in me, and I'm still scared of water. Don't tell this to anyone.
Sir, and treks? You go on treks?
Trekking as such, I will not call it trekking, but we would call it walks. So on Wednesdays and Saturdays, our class teachers would take us for walks, and our walks would be into the forest. So the boarding students had already explored each and every part of the forest of Mount Abu, and there are many locations in the forest which have been named by the boarding. So you have places like Plummy, you have Sergeant Plummy. These are all mountains. Plummy, Sergeant Plummy, Plummy's Pimple, you have Balancing Rock, you have Golden Horn, you'll have Rabbit's Field, and there are many more places like this. Hobbies Fall. If you listen to these names, you feel as if you're somewhere in Europe or somewhere, but these are all names of the places which the boarders of St. Mary's Mount Abu have christened, as I call, named them. And even today, when I go to Mount Abu with my friends, we still go on those treks so that we can recall our childhood memories.
And so what about hobbies? What kind of hobbies did students have?
Tithi, the hobbies that we had were very different, and I doubt the children these days can even imagine about them. We used to have feather collection. We used to have butterfly collections, wherein there's a season where you have a lot of butterflies, and children would go and catch them, and we would print them on paper. And there would be children who would be having 40, 50 different types of butterflies with their names written. Apart from that, children would even collect leaves of different plants, dry them up, and then paste them on charts and with their names. And of course, there were students who had stamp collections, who had currency collections. All these things were also part of it. And we used to have a day when we used to have this hobby competition. And on that day, everybody would display their hobbies. And we had certain students who were interested in cooking, and they would display that too. And those students, I have a very close friend of mine whose hobby used to be cooking, and every year he would put up an old stove and do some cooking over there. Today, he is the head baker of a chain of seven-star hotels in Hong Kong. So everything is basically from the school where you've been.
Anything else, sir?
Yes, keeping pets in school was again another hobby for certain students. So we would keep squirrels, we would keep caterpillars, we would keep the young ones of bulbuls, and these were all kept in the classroom. Squirrels were generally kept inside the shirt, and whenever we would have our breaks, the children would take out their own different pets and do the feeding part. And our teachers also knew that there were certain students in the class who had these pets with them.
Like real animals.
Real animals. Squirrels, caterpillars, and even young ones of birds were kept as pets. And I still remember when I was in grade 6, we had kept a hare. It's a wild rabbit which we found during the walks, and that was kept in the class for the whole year. And we used to feed it, it became huge, and towards the end of the year, we took it back to the forest and set it free.
So, do you really love animals?
I still love animals. That's why you must have seen in school also, we've got geese, we've got, what do you call them, guinea fowls, and we have got dogs. And that's the reason that I love pets, and that's the reason I keep them.
Sir, your friend became a head baker in Hong Kong just because of his school hobby.
Yes, our teachers told us to be very passionate about whatever we were interested in. And that is why many of us have made our passion into our profession. And that's why we make a difference in the world that we live in.
Sir, what about studying in class? Was it strict?
Studies in class, of course, was very strict. Corporal punishment used to be administered on us. So if we didn't do our homeworks, if we went wrong anywhere, or even if we made mistakes in calculations and things, our teachers would generally cane us, or we would get benders. And that was part of the system in those days. Of course, today, corporal punishment is totally, strictly prohibited from all schools. And I am a teacher who has never, ever administered corporal punishment to any child. And I'm very particular about that.
We are so lucky now.
Yes, I love children, and I ensure that every child comes to school happily and goes home happily. But the 6 hours that he or she spends at school should be full of learning, and the learning process in school should be with purpose. Apart from that, I believe that every child should hone certain skills and develop certain hobbies.
Today, students cry if they get 95%. What was the topper score in your time?
If I can recall, throughout my schooling days, the highest percentage that the first ranker would get in our class would either be 71 or 72%.
Sir, my mother would faint if she knows the highest percentage was 71.
Of course, these days children are getting 97, 99%, and there are children getting 100 out of 100, even in subjects like English and Hindi. And our times, I still remember the highest in English or Hindi would be just around 70.
96 are less for students nowadays.
Of course, and the reason is maybe the pattern of studies have changed, and children are too much focused on academics in a way wherein they focus on getting 100% marks in the examinations.
So what about becoming a doctor or an engineer?
Tithi, during our days, we never had things like career counselings which we have nowadays in schools. We just focused on the subjects that were there and we studied them to our best. And to some extent, I still remember, neither did my parents ever guide me towards becoming a doctor or an engineer. So we went ahead with the subjects that we liked the most and moved into various careers which suited us.
So today our parents already know what we will become before we know.
That is the difference. Today, the parents decide the future of the kids in most of the cases.
Sir, anything from our generation that you admire?
Of course, you have a lot of facilities. Your parents give you everything just with the wink of an eye. And I think you live in better conditions compared to ours. And apart from that, the mobile, the television, and all the other facilities that you have moving around in malls, going for family outings, going for tours with your parents, all these things were not happening during our days.
Sir, is anything from your childhood that you wish we had today?
I would admire it, I would love it if you would spend some more time outdoors. The generation that we have today, I call them the indoor breeds, because in school, out of the 8 periods, at least 7 periods you're inside the classroom. At home also, you're always inside. You may go for tuitions and you barely go out to play every day. But when we were small, I still remember we used to spend 2 to 3 hours outdoors every day.
And nowadays we will play online games more than outdoor games.
Of course, during our times, we did not have mobiles. Of course, we did have video games and all, but that too was not very popular. It was considered to be a luxurious game.
This is really beautiful. I really like this conversation with you. This is our very first.
Thank you, Pradi. I really loved it.
I think we learned today that childhood isn't about phones or fancy toys. It's about memories, people, and small moments.
And,
Yes, Tithi, I agree with you.
and that even our principal sir was once a small boy.
Yes, Preet, I was also a young child like you.
Every generation has something special. Principal sirs' time have simplicity and our time has technology and ideas.
Maybe the best childhood is one where we keep both.
And thank you for listening today. That is our very first podcast.
Thank you very much. I'm so happy that you all came up with this idea of a podcast. So congratulations, Tithi, congratulations, Preet, congratulations, Pradi, and congratulations to your teachers who have supported you and brought you up to this level. Stay blessed and happy always.
Until next time, this is Tithi and Preet.
And your host Prati signing off. Bye everyone.